All right, everyone. Welcome to this presentation. My name is Lucas, and today I'm with Hubert, Charly, Mathilde, and Anae, and we would like to present you, Sujata and Miss Kronflumen, finance major, our project, Timeline Tutoring. We thought of inventing a service, a tutoring service that would be adapted to students' need, that would be current with current technology trends, and that would also be fun and easy to use. So without further ado, let's dive in. So let's look at the agenda for today. So we're going to start number one with the business overview. So what's our project? What's the offer to our customers? What's our mission statement? Number two, the market analysis. So Anna is going to walk us through kind of market trends and market research and some marketing strategy concepts we saw in our previous classes in marketing. And then I'm going to move on with the business model. So how timeline tutoring will work in terms of strategy and the app. Then the core part of the project, the financial plan and investment decision. And then we're going to wrap up with some key takeaways. And of course, you'll have a nice picture of us at the end for good memories because we had lots of fun this semester with you. And so we wanted to make this presentation so that we could present to you our project in a fun and engaging way. So let's go with the business overview. Okay, I'll show you my slide. All right.
So our company is Timeline Tutoring, and it's a company that offers tutoring services to the undergraduate students of Coulombe University through an online application. We're dedicated to providing the best possible service to these students, and we provide our clients with all kinds of resources to help them to the best of our ability. So the services we offer on our online app include one-on-one tutoring, exam preparation, crash courses, and tutoring for people with special needs. Students will be able to create their accounts and from there book tutoring appointments according to their needs. At Timeline Tutoring, we especially specialize in the 6 core courses students have to take. Our values are excellence, integrity, and empathy. Our goal is to help students explore their full potential and assist them in achieving their goals. We want every student who comes to us to feel confident and at ease in all of their classes. We hope that our services will enable many students to excel in their studies. So we have basic assumptions that were given to us in the instructions, and these were that the number of students is 4,800, and that can be calculated by multiplying the investment horizon of 8 years and the student intake of 600 students per year that were given to us. The degree length, which is 4 years, and there is 6 core classes, a discount rate of 12%, and a tax rate of 40%.
All right, thanks, Matsu. So now we're going to move on with the market and competition analysis. So Anae.
So as Lucas mentioned, we're now going to talk about the market analysis. It's very important to know about the environment in which we are going to evolve. So we have carried out a market study and a study of our competitors to get a better idea of what to expect. We have determined a target customer type. The students can be either male or female, and we would target students who are between 17 and 26 years old. We have also conducted a market survey to see what services and rate universities, private tutors, and other companies were offering, as well as their rates. On average, the price per hour of tutoring at a university is $40. For private tutors, it is about $25 per hour, and for other companies, private companies, it would be $30 per hour. A conclusion that came from this analysis was that the share of universities and the tutoring business is very small. So there's a niche in the market allowing us to create our business, and it's a conclusion of us that we can, and that tutoring business would be a good investment, especially for universities. And moreover, the price per hour is relatively high, hence there is a margin of opportunity for our business where we could differentiate ourselves with lower prices. We also created customer persona in order to better understand what would be the profile of our customers, how to meet their needs, how to better help them, and etc. Then we developed in more detailed on the type of customers we would target, as well as the types of services offered by other competitors and on the types of platforms they would use. Before embarking on a project, it's always important to know what you are getting into and whether the market is viable. Several sources have revealed that the tutoring market offers a lot of opportunities for expansion, which is a good basis for our business. Similarly, it is always important to assess strength and weaknesses. I think you can change the slides, Lucas.
Right. Okay.
You can go to the next one, I think. Okay, so the market size, it was, well, as you can read on the slide, tutoring is probably a very good opportunity for the future. It has, we have growth, expansion, and I think it's now especially with COVID and online schooling, it's very important. I think it's a chance that we can take to create our business in the touring business. And finally, it's important to assess strengths and weaknesses to address those weaknesses and turn them into strength. So as you can see on the slide, it allows flexibility, learning at one's pace. You can do it from any device and place on Earth, and there's a lot of opportunity for expansion. And some of the weaknesses, lack of personal connection between students and tutors, and it requires more determination and perseverance on the student side. And finally, we have carried out a competitor analysis. We took 5 competitors and analyzed them according to their company size, business years, employees, plants, retail outlets, ownership structure, and also annual sales, product comparison, product price, etc. And I just want to explain how this slide works. So I assessed on a scale from 0 to 4. For instance, if I gave a 4 for venture capital, it's because this particular competitor had a lot of funds. For instance, Paper had more than 10 investors who invested in their business. So that's how it is. And the higher the total, the better the competitor, and the worse for us, I guess.
Very interesting. So thanks, Anae. So with Anae's research and the market research that we conducted as a team, we were really able to better understand our strengths and weaknesses, and also what the opportunities for us are. So with that, we built a relevant business model. So obviously technology prevails, which is why our mode of operation will be mainly on a mobile app. So we'll have the Timeline Tutoring mobile app, which is an application that will be convenient, easy to use, simple, and adapted for students. It's going to handle reservations, scheduling tutors. It's going to give them their links to their Zoom or Teams meeting, whichever media they choose to use. It's going to provide them with resources and messaging tools, so students will be able to forward like documents and PDFs and all kinds of like tools for their students. So it's really the core of our operations. Obviously, we'll have like in-person stuff as well, for example, like crash course, exam reviews in person, but the main thing will be through the app. It's like a social media, but for tutoring. So we hope that our students log on there and they're ready to get their tutoring session, and then they use the app to get to work. So that's about the business model. So our services, well, as I kind of mentioned, we will have individual tutoring, of course, because it's the most personalized product, and people do need like, like specialized coaching with a specialized tutor in the core class they choose to get help in. There's going to be some tutoring for people with special needs as well. So of course, tutors will be receiving training, and some of them will be receiving training for people that perhaps have a disability or a learning deficiency. I personally did tutoring in the past for about 2 years. And as a tutor, usually the institution really prepares you to be able to kind of answer different kind of needs, and disability and learning deficiencies were definitely one of them that was super important. So obviously our tutors at Timeline will be provided with that kind of like background training. Of course, there's going to be some crash courses and exam preparation. So really, we want to help our students as much as possible, just like you did for us during the term, basically. Now, let's continue. So let's go with the financial plan and investment decision, which is the core of our evaluation. And we want Miss Finance major to be provided with the best evaluation. So what did we kind of use as a tool? What were like our criteria in our framework to evaluate our decision? Well, first of all, we obviously looked at pricing. So we kind of looked at the market research that we did, and we conducted a sensitivity analysis depending on market metrics to see, okay, what would be the best price to charge for an hour of tutoring? And then out of that price, out of that rate that we charge, how much do we keep for us, considering the discount rate, the tax rate, etc. So Charly will walk you through this a bit later. Then the demand. Obviously, the demand has some elasticity. While the elasticity was a bit harder to find in the market research, we did evaluate some scenarios as well to see, okay, which variables are going to affect our demand, what is going to make demand higher, lower, etc. And then the tool to decide if timeline tutoring will be a good investment is the NPV. So this is a very crucial part of our evaluation. It's the most useful criteria. So we look at cash flows, discount rate, and of course our assumptions. And you'll see a beautiful timeline with a DFA so that you're sure to be clear on that. And then payback and profitability. Well, sometimes, like investors have different projects, different propositions. I know Miss Finance major is super popular, so we'll give you those additional metrics to be sure that you're able to better compare and to see how our investment stands out. Okay, so let's go with some assumptions on pricing. So as I said, we kind of analyzed market trends. And one thing that really came back in the research was that 25% of students use tutoring in university. So we kind of use that 25% as a core metric. And then we saw that if we have a cohort of 150 students, of 600 students, well, 25% of that makes 150. So we know that about every year, 150 students will use it. About pricing, well, the price ranges from about $20 to $40. So to remain competitive, we made a bunch of scenarios and we saw that a rate of $28, which is quite competitive, would be the best for us to obtain a positive NPV. And as I kind of said, 600 students, so 25% of that will be 150 users of timeline tutoring per cohort per year. And then, well, how much tutoring will they get? Well, there's about 15 weeks in a semester. And, it's an industry standard to do about an hour per week with a tutor. So times $20, that gives us about 840, per course. Okay, moving on. About the demand, well, it's important to assess the demand. What's like the elasticity of the demand? Well, our framework for this was to evaluate students' needs. So some of them will have a low need for tutoring, a medium need, or a high need. What does that mean for us? Well, a low need is when a student will only need us for about one course. So we estimate that it's about 25% of our users. A medium need will be someone who reach out to Timeline for about 3 courses, and a high need would be for all of the 6 core classes. So that's a lot, and we deem that about 25% of our students will need that. So there are more details about the calculations on Excel, but basically you can see at the very bottom column here, very bottom row, the revenue that's going to result out of those percentages for each segment for the low, medium, and high needs. All right, moving on about the revenues. Well, so for the low need, we're going to give out about 562 hours. And then for medium and high needs, about 3,300. And then what does that yield in terms of revenue? Well, for the 8 years, it's about 1.6 million or 200,000 per year. Now, I'm going to let Hubert continue with the expenses.
Thank you, Luca. So I will start by describing our initial expenses for the project. So all of these expenses will take place at time 0, and they will occur only once. First, we have a cost of $75,000 to develop and create a good mobile application that our staff and students will use throughout our years of operation. Second, we have a cost of $20,000 to design and create a website for the project, which will mainly be used to inform the students about our services and to collect payments from them. Third, we have a $20,000 of advertising expenses, which will mainly be used to promote our services on the campus and to ensure that we have a good presence at the top of the list in search engine when students will Google tutoring at Women University. Then we have the OPEX and CAPEX expenses that will be recurring from year 1 to year 8. So we have the salaries of our tutors, which will be $19 an hour and a salary of $23 an hour for only tutoring manager. Our tutoring manager will make sure that every student needs are taken care by our teams of tutors. And finally, we have for our CapEx, we have $18,000 per year to maintain both our mobile app and website throughout the years. It represents 20% of their initial cost development, which is the norm in the industry according to research. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, good. Now, if we have a look at the NPV, we did a timeline on Excel. We calculated the net profit at the end of each year and then discount each sum at time 0 using a discount rate of 12%, which gave us an NPV, a positive NPV of $22,226.15. Now, we also calculated the payback and profitability index. So the payback for this project is just over 5 years of operation. So if we multiply the net profit at the end of each year by 5 years, we get just over $110,000, sorry, which represents our initial investment in the project. And for the profitability index, if we divide the NPV by our initial investment, we get just over 20%. So these are useful metrics to compare with different projects that Miss Finance major could have.
Because we are aware that all the scenario we came up with may not be the one that's going to happen, we decided to conduct a sensitivity analysis of our service based on 2 variables. So the first one being the needs of students and the other one being the price. We are aware that other variables could influence the demand for tutoring, such as the income or socialization. However, those variables are hard to predict. So for simplicity, we just decided to focus on needs and price. We believe that demand may vary depending on each student's skills and previous experience. That is why we came up with 3 different scenarios based on the percentage of adoption of the service that are used, that are based on our assumptions. So the first scenario represents a situation of low demand. So in this scenario, 50% of students who are looking for tutoring services will need tutoring for 1 class. 30% of students will need tutoring for 3 classes and 20% for all the 6 classes. This scenario would give us a net present value of almost minus $100,000. However, based on our assumptions as well as the data gathered, this scenario is very unlikely to happen. The second scenario represents a situation of high demand, in which 25% of students needing tutoring would actually need tutor for 1 class, 30% for 3 classes, and 45% for 6 classes. This scenario would be extremely profitable, for it has a net present value of almost $135,000. However, this scenario is also quite unlikely to happen. And the last scenario, which is the one we chose, so our current scenario, represents a situation in which 25% of students will need tutoring for 1 class, 50% for 3 classes, and 25% for 6 classes. So this scenario is the one that's the most likely to happen, and it has a net present value of a bit more than $22,000. We also conducted a price sensitivity analysis. There is a high probability that demand is elastic and varies according to the price. However, because we do not have enough data on price and demand elasticity, we again came up with 3 scenarios based on 3 different prices with a fixed demand corresponding to our current scenario. So 25% for 1 class, 50% for 3 classes, and 25% for 6 classes. The first scenario being a low price one, with a price fixed at $18 per hour. The NVP would be about minus $253,000. So setting the price at $18 per hour is definitely not an option. The second scenario would be one with the price of $38 per hour. This one would have an NPV of approximately $330,000. So this option looks very interesting. However, we can expect that with a price of $38 per hour, demand may eventually be quite weak because $38 is at the top of the range when we compare to other companies. And the last option would be to set a price of $28 per hour, so which is the option we decided to go with. And again, the net present value for this option would be about $22,000. So this option would allow us to offer our services at a reasonable price and making a small profit that would eventually be reinvested into the company.
So some key takeaways are that based on NPV calculations and other investment criteria, it is a good investment. The application is the basis of operations. The estimated number of students using the services every year is 150. We recommend a salary of $19 per hour for the tutors and a rate per hour of $28, which the tutees would have to pay. And the estimated revenue per year is $204,750. So thank you very much. We had a lot of fun doing this project, and please refer to assignment 2 to learn more about our team and our strengths.